Tonight, at the start of a busy travel weekend, airport chaos, ruined plans, passenger anger.
I talk to one person, I get sent to another. That person will send me to another. It's just a complete mess.
What airlines say they're doing about it. Also tonight, on the eve of Canada Day, a new fight over the meaning of the flag.
Our beautiful flag had been hijacked, and I thought that's not right.
And more than a century after his battlefield death, a soldier's burial and a family mystery solved.
He looks like a child in his photograph. I had to take 5 minutes and just be like, whoa.
This is The National. Well, for the first time in 3 years, Canada Day long weekend travel comes without strict COVID-19 measures, but not without frustration at airports. Airlines say scrapping some daily flights might help with the chaos, but after weeks of long delays, getting through security, collecting luggage, or just getting off the plane, more setbacks, more headaches. That's what Nisha Patel saw and heard today as a busy travel season ramps up.
From one major Canadian airport,
my worst fear came true, my bags didn't make it,
to another.
This is the absolute worst experience anywhere on the planet that I've been.
Just hasn't been a level of preparedness.
The travel frustrations are the same. Long lineups, canceled flights, lost luggage.
There's nothing to help anybody. You see people with their kids sleeping on the airport floor on chairs, finding anywhere they can sleep.
Michelle Vega is trying to visit family in England. A delayed Air Canada flight has derailed her plans.
Had to stay awake in the airport overnight, waiting for the help desk to open.
Air travel ground to a halt during the pandemic. Now demand is surging, and airlines and airports haven't kept up. The travel chaos isn't limited to Canada.
I'm not making any more plans for travel.
Just no one really kind of assisting and trying to help us figure out how to get home.
Many American airlines are cutting flights amid the disruptions. Strikes and staff shortages have also caused major issues at European airports.
I try to talk to staff. No one has any answers. I talk to one person, I get sent to another. That person will send me to another. It's just a complete mess.
Ali Padani was heading to Dallas for a wedding. Just 2 hours before takeoff, his flight was canceled. He's losing money on his Airbnb and rental car, but most importantly, the memories.
My family and I, we've been awake for over 24 hours. At this point, we should have just drove to Dallas instead of taking the flight.
This travel agent says a road trip might not be a bad idea.
People are looking and if there's alternatives to that exact point. If there is a different time frame that you would like to travel or a different way of traveling, and you have that flexibility.
This week, the government pledged $105 million to help alleviate pressure at airports. But experts say it will take time for air travel to get back to normal, and that Canadians should hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
Okay, Nisha, so we know airlines are cutting flights to get back on track. How deep are they cutting?
Andrew, Air Canada says it's cutting 15% of its flights for July and August. That's about 150 flights. WestJet said it had already proactively cut about 21% of flights from its schedule. But whether that's enough to ease the strain at airports is anyone's guess.
Yeah, sure. And what about all those customers with canceled flights, lost baggage? What should they know?
Consumer rights advocates say those passengers deserve compensation. They could be owed up to $1,000 for flight cancellations. The big question is whether or not these issues were within the airline's control.
Okay.
Andrew?
Nisha, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Ottawa is gearing up for the kind of Canada Day it hasn't been able to have for a while because of COVID-19. That's cause for celebration, but there will also be protesters. Hannah Thibodeau shows us how the city is preparing for both.
No virtual celebration. This year, it's the real deal. Live rehearsals for an in-person Canada Day.
I guess we haven't really had much of Canada Day for the last couple of years. We've just sort of hunkered down and stayed inside.
But security in this city will be tight at the main site and around Parliament Hill. Roads are blocked and metal detectors are checking everyone.
We have plans in place. We have resources. You will see a much larger police presence than you would normally see on Canada Day to make sure that everyone can come down and celebrate.
There have already been some arrests. The city is bracing for more protests by Freedom Convoy supporters. This past winter, they occupied the downtown core for more than 3 weeks. Change up! Change up! Protesters have already arrived. Army reservist James Topp walked from Vancouver to show his opposition to vaccine mandates.
I'm speaking on behalf of all of the federal government employees and corporate sector as well, who had to comply with these measures or lose their jobs.
Topp was joined by Conservative leadership candidate Pierre Poilievre and PPC leader Maxime Bernier, along with others who took part in or supported the convoy protests.
No, we ain't gonna take it. Basically, that I had enough with what this government's doing.
Other protesters are at Parliament Hill.
This is spreading. The message of freedom is spreading.
But for some of those in town to celebrate, freedom has a different meaning.
Being happy is freedom. Like wherever happiness, people are happy, and happiness is a thing in the society, that country is free.
Ilya Han's family recently fled Iran.
Let me tell them something. Go visit Iran for a week. You're going to change your mind.
And these are the types of protests that are giving some people in the capital flashbacks when all they want to do is get together and celebrate for the first time in years. Hannah Thibodeau, CBC News, Ottawa.
So right now, if freedom seems to be a complicated word, well, the flag, that's become a complicated symbol. Stephen D'Souza shows us the efforts by some to divorce the maple leaf from the meaning protests have given it.
From Ottawa to Windsor, Ontario to Coutts, Alberta, the protests that divided Canada in January and February were united by one symbol, the Canadian flag. Even months after those protests ended, some still use it to represent their views.
Our beautiful flag had been hijacked as their symbol of protest, and I thought that's not right.
In the spring, Victor Crapnell decided he wanted to reclaim the flag, so the graphic designer created these stickers.
Our flag has always had a reputation around the world of friendliness and tolerance and acceptance.
Those people that they're using it for the wrong way, these are not the majority of our country.
Businessman Mohammed Faki is a proud Lebanese immigrant. He's been actively encouraging all Canadians to fly the flag this weekend, but not in protest.
We need to send a message that the flag will always remain the symbol of a freedom, the symbol of diversity and inclusion, of an open and great country that welcomes people like me.
Protesters say they are celebrating freedom too. They see the flag as a way to criticize the government.
I usually wave at them and they smile and they know why I'm waving, because they also understand that it now represents, our collective rights and freedoms that we're advocating for.
The message the flag sends has always been complicated. For many Indigenous people, it is a painful symbol of colonialism.
The flag cannot be divorced from the colonization, the violence, the genocide that Indigenous peoples have experienced.
That's correct.
This expert says the flag's meaning is always evolving.
It looks very much like American patriotic display or American political discourse legitimized by the flag. And that's a fairly recent development in Canada.
Victor Crapnell says he received backlash to his campaign when it first started. But he hopes more Canadians will feel comfortable flying the flag this weekend.
I'm looking forward to seeing the positive flags outweigh the negative ones.
And he hopes this week seeing the red and white will inspire pride, not debate. Stephen D'Souza, CBC News, Toronto.
Ketanji Brown Jackson made history today, sworn in as the first Black woman on the U.S. Supreme Court.
I, Ketanji Brown Jackson, do solemnly swear.
Joe Biden's nominee was confirmed by the Senate back in April. The 51-year-old replaces the liberal justice she once worked for, Stephen Breyer, who officially retired today. One of his final cases, a dissent in the ruling that overturned Roe v. Wade. Outside the court, that case is still reverberating.
We want justice. We want justice. We want justice.
In that case, the court decided that the legality of abortion is up to individual states. Well, today, another controversial ruling from that top U.S. court, once again revealing its legal conservatism. This time, a decision many say undermines protections against coal. Susan Ormiston shows us how that played out and what could come next.
coal, the climate, and the court, all colliding in the latest controversial and politically loaded ruling.
It is a great decision for the state of West Virginia, but even a better decision for all this country.
A 6-3 decision heralded by coal-producing states.
Now maybe we can absolutely stop, the radical left from just coming up with what they per se want to do or they like.
Effectively, the ruling stifles the Environmental Protection Agency's powers to limit carbon emissions from power plants, a powerful tool to reduce greenhouse gases. Regulations that significant, says the court, must be specific and approved by Congress, not by its agencies.
It's basically turning on its head decades of accepted law involving the relationship between Congress and administrative agencies.
This is an outrageous, though not surprising, decision by a captured Supreme Court.
Environmental groups and agencies are furious, believing that under the guise of law, this court and its conservative majority is pursuing an agenda harmful to the climate and destructive to other rights.
We know that this court is not a friend to our reproductive rights, is not a friend to our democracy, and we are learning increasingly that they are not a friend to our environment.
We have to vote to meet the challenge of climate crisis as well.
Biden's campaign against the climate crisis is weakened. His multi-billion-dollar package of climate investments is stuck in Congress. And now he's thwarted in efforts to force coal-fired utilities to convert to renewable sources.
President Biden didn't do this. The party that has not won the popular vote in the last 18 years, but has captured our Supreme Court to serve their narrow partisan and political interests, are the ones who did this.
And the majority on this court is not expected to change.
Okay, so Susan, this ruling has to do with one industry, but what's the wider picture?
Well, it really creates an opening here for challenges to all kinds of regulations. The myriad of laws which protect and rule American life, but which many people believe are too much government. An example, this fall, this court will be arguing another significant environmental case involving the scope of the Clean Water Act.
Okay, our senior correspondent, Susan Ormiston, in Washington tonight. Thanks. The Supreme Court of Canada has ruled that recently expanded rape shield laws are constitutional. The laws prevent a person accused in a sexual assault trial to use evidence of a complainant's sexual history to discredit them. Updates in 2018 added to the list of that evidence things like emails and videos in the possession of the accused. Today's ruling stems from two separate cases that said those updates affected the accused's right to a fair trial. The Conservative Party says about 675,000 new members were signed up by competing leadership campaigns. The final number could change, though, as the campaigns can now challenge the validity of any sign-ups. The voter list will be finalized in July, and the results of the leadership vote will be revealed on September 10th. Well, the NATO Leaders Summit wrapped up in Madrid today, with Canada's Prime Minister announcing new military aid for Ukraine. As David Cochrane explains, that will affect Canada's own armed forces.
On the NATO summit's final day, Canada announced its latest aid to Ukraine. 6 new drone cameras and 39 armored combat support vehicles, specifically requested by Ukraine, expected to be on the ground later this summer.
The drones have been incredibly useful in protecting Ukrainians and pushing back against Russia's illegal invasion. And the light armored vehicles that we will be sending over will be extremely effective as well.
The vehicles are brand new, bought for the Canadian military, which has agreed to pass them on to the fight against Russia and get replacements later.
Vladimir Putin wanted to weaken NATO, but I can tell you that what I've seen this week is that we are united and determined to make our defensive alliance even stronger.
And that may be the most important outcome of this summit, as NATO countries agreed to surge their military presence in Europe to counter Russian aggression.
We face the most serious security situation in decades, but we are rising to the challenge.
More troops and more members, inviting 2 more countries to join the alliance.
With the addition of Finland and Sweden, we'll be stronger than ever. They have serious militaries, both of them.
As the alliance expands, there's pressure for defense spending to grow with it. All NATO countries are supposed to spend 2% of GDP on defense. Key countries say that it should grow.
That means meeting and being prepared to exceed the target we set for ourselves a decade ago of everybody spending 2% of GDP on defence, the goals that were then set for a very different era.
That would be a significant challenge for Canada, which is consistently below that 2% spending target, and even now ranks near the very bottom of NATO spending as a share of GDP. David Cochrane, CBC News, Madrid.
Well, a boost for Ukraine today after Russian troops abandoned the strategic Snake Island in the Black Sea. Ukraine says it forced Russia out with a barrage of missile and artillery strikes, but Russia says it pulled out of the island as a goodwill gesture to show it wasn't hampering UN efforts to export grain through that busy shipping lane. As it did, it kept up its attacks on Lysychansk, trying to encircle the last stronghold city in the eastern Luhansk province. Well, and now some news about the news. You might have heard, CBC announced today it is launching a free streaming channel this fall. The National will be a big part of that channel, and so will I, but apart from the National. I'll be leaving the co-host chair this summer, and I will be back on your screens later as the host of a brand new program which will stream on the new channel 5 days a week. We will have so much more to announce on that front, hopefully sooner rather than later. But two other big things that I wanted to say. Adrienne will continue to be the expert hand at the wheel here, hosting the National Monday through Thursday. She also takes on the role of chief correspondent for CBC News. And Ian will still be here Fridays and Sundays, in addition to his big announcement recently, named the permanent host of Cross Country Checkup. All of this is very good news, and we couldn't be happier about it. Okay, still to come in this program. Canada lagging behind other countries when it comes to third doses.
We hear a lot from people that I've already had COVID, I've had my 2 doses, I'm good.
Up next, why public health officials are worried. And
if we don't light it, Mother Nature will find a way.
A somber anniversary in Lytton, BC. How Indigenous knowledge keepers are working to protect other communities from fire.
I don't think anybody ever expected for them to find him.
And a mystery more than a century in the making. One family's journey to find out what happened to their lost loved one. We're back in 2.
The National, voted Canada's best national newscast.
Well, the federal government announced new nutritional information labels for pre-packaged foods. Foods with more than 15% of the suggested daily value of saturated fat, sugars, or sodium will be labeled as such. And for pre-packaged meals, warnings will go on items with more than 30% of the recommended daily intake. The new labels come into effect 2026. Well, Canada has one of the highest 2-shot COVID vaccination rates in the entire world, but when it comes to boosters, it is falling behind. And with subvariants on the rise, that has health officials worried. Alison Northcott on their push to overcome reluctance.
As more contagious COVID subvariants continue to spread and health officials urge people to protect themselves, Montrealers looking for a COVID booster can walk into vaccine clinics like this one.
Keeping up to date with all the COVID-19 doses you're eligible for, including booster doses, continues to be vitally important.
More than 55% of Canadians have had a first booster. Canada's health minister wants that number up.
We are behind most other G7 countries in our rates of third doses, and we shouldn't be behind because we've been ahead of all those other countries with 2 doses.
As health officials predict a jump in COVID cases this summer and fall, those who are vulnerable need that extra protection the most, says this expert.
The extra dose to keep them out of hospital is even more important now as the risk of exposure goes up by the day.
The effort to get people vaccinated in this Toronto neighborhood has been ongoing since the first shots were available. But so far, only 44% of residents in the area are boosted.
I don't think I need vaccine anymore. The third dose affect my hand. There was pain. I can hardly lift my left hand over my head, so I refused to take the 4th one.
The head of this community health center says building trust and making shots easy to access can counter reluctance.
It is a hard sell. First, second doses were also a hard sell, but we really worked at it with the community and we saw the numbers climbing.
While vaccines that target Omicron are in the works, health officials say the shots available now are effective against serious illness and death. Alison Northcott, CBC News, Montreal.
Well, people in central Saskatchewan are cleaning up after 3 tornadoes touched down yesterday.
We're very grateful everybody's safe, but it is a life-changing disaster for us.
Yep. At this farm, sheds were destroyed and trees toppled. A highway covered in debris was closed as well. Power crews called in. And you can see from videos posted on social media yesterday just the scale of the twisters. Local officials say despite the damage, though, there were no reported injuries. Well, we have been reporting on the variety of ways virtual learning has led to challenges for students during the pandemic. Well, here's another area of concern, the transitions into high school and beyond. Deanna Sumanak-Johnson has more on the fears of falling behind.
Perfect. As she's learning her last lessons of grade 8, Eva Pietrantonio is a little nervous. What she's heard about high school is putting her on edge.
If you don't pay attention to class, you miss some stuff, that's going to be kind of really important.
Students making big transitions this year from grade 8 to high school, from grade 12 to college or university may get to have in-person graduations. But the disruptions of the last few years are making many feel ill-prepared for what's ahead.
Just gathering with new people is going to be a crazy experience because we haven't really been in those situations. So I'm really excited, and I think as a whole, we're kind of nervous just about some of the educational aspects because we haven't learned as much.
A lot of students weren't really sure what to expect.
This professor of education works with students new to the University of Toronto. He says the fears about being behind academically are justified.
Teaching math online was very challenging for many students. Some of them did not sort of make it and dropped out of their math classes. This, of course, then has a huge impact on them being able to have that math requirement as they're entering sort of their life sciences here at University of Toronto. And so it basically puts them behind. So that's just one example.
Experts like him say the best thing parents and teachers can do is be patient and supportive.
Practice, practice, practice.
Eva Pietrantonio is getting some one-on-one help from her teacher.
We do 50% is the academic piece, and the other 50% is the social emotional learning skills, building independence, responsibility, organization. So we focus a lot on those skills because that's very important, especially when we prepare them for high school.
Helping ease that big step into the unknown after 2 years of facing changes. Deanna Sumanak-Johnson, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, it's been a year since the village of Lytton, BC was burned to the ground. But even before rebuilding begins, how to prevent another disaster?
Indigenous people are often kept out of any of the discussion around wildfire management.
Coming up, how Indigenous firekeepers are working to stop fire from rising again. And
now I'm okay with that word, non-binary.
From feeling alone to being accepted, 3 Canadians open up about what it means to be themselves. It's been 1 year since wildfire tore through the village of Lytton, BC, and destroyed most of it. By the time the fire had passed, you'd barely know that 250 people had called it home. There were few structures left, mostly just charred metal and bricks, and little has changed in the years since. Now, in a moment, we'll speak with a community leader about what the people of Lytton have gone through and what lies ahead. But first, Renee Filipponi shows us one way to mitigate the impact of wildfire. It is an Indigenous tradition long overlooked by government, but never forgotten by the people who've handed it down, generation after generation.
I think it's all right.
It's Fire Set to Help Fires on the Skeechesin First Nation in central BC. Joe Gilchrist ignites sagebrush in a slow and calculated procedure.
So what it does, it gets rid of the fuel that's available in the summertime for wildfire. And so it won't stop the fire, but it'll lessen the impact of a wildfire.
Gilchrist is one of about 20 members of the Interior Salish Firekeepers Society, part of a growing movement to reclaim traditional practices.
If we don't light it, Mother Nature will find a way, whether it's a lightning strike or some accident, something that'll happen.
Recent years have seen devastating wildfires, like the one that consumed the community of Lytton. The charred remains of BC forests are a motivation for some to come up with ways to prevent it.
Well, the risk of wildfire, I think, outweighs the risk of an escaped fire, and we really tried to mitigate that risk by having planning processes in place.
William Nikolakis is a UBC forestry professor and part of the Gathering Voices Society. Together with Chilcotin leaders, the group is working to reignite cultural practices. In the past 3 years, they have gone from burning 15 hectares to 250 and employ more than 50 people.
We're seeing really positive results from community members on what's growing back, and it's green during the summer now, instead of it being overgrown and lots of dead woody debris.
But without permits, this burning can only happen on reserve and in some traditional territories. Advocates say it's not enough to protect vulnerable communities. They say the province needs to invest more money and resources in the practice.
42% of the communities in Canada experiencing evacuation are Indigenous nations. Yet Indigenous people are often kept out of any of the discussion around wildfire management, despite being the most highly impacted.
The families burned the land off to get rid of that old growth and to bring back this new growth that you see right now.
So we can see some of the marks, I guess, on the trees and this post that would have been from that burn?
Yeah.
And it's the knowledge Gilchrist learned from his family he wants to bring to the discussion.
I could remember my great aunt saying that that fire is a cleanser to Mother Earth, like water is a cleanser to our bodies, the human body. Fire does the same thing for Mother Earth.
Taking back the ways of the past to protect the future. Renee Filipponi, CBC News on the Skitchison First Nation.
Now, the future is precisely the thing I want to talk about with Lytton First Nation Councillor John Hogan. Councillor Hogan, thank you for making the time to speak with us. I would like to start with the present, though, if we could. All this time after the fire, rebuilding still hasn't even begun in earnest. So who's living there now, and what does life look like where you are?
Well, life looks a lot different because we have limited access to our community. There was the atmospheric river in November changed a lot of things in how we got to our community. So there's been a lot of highway construction east and west of us on the Trans-Canada, and there's load restrictions on Highway 12 towards Lillooet. So there are people back in the community, but they have really no access to medical or dental care and pharmacies and those kind of things.
And of course, the great cruelty here is that I know that, the rebuilding process takes time. There's the assessment, the demolition, the cleanup, the planning of the construction, but on top of that, you're having to grapple with the prospect of another summer of scorching hot temperatures. Does your community have what it needs to prevent another disaster?
We can't really say we have what we need, but we are doing our best to limit the risk of another wildfire, and all other people that are involved in doing transport and those things through our community, as well as the province, has to collaborate with us to minimize all of those risks that prevent wildfires from happening and creating disasters.
And you mentioned that collaboration with the province. Is there meaningful collaboration between the government and First Nations on exactly how to go about preventing a worst-case situation from repeating itself?
It's been talked about. We really have to see the focus on working together and putting all of our different resources and inventorying what we have and who's trained to do the different tasks and those things, because there's so much more risk of wildfires in BC as we go forward. There's just horrendous possibilities of further wildfires.
One last question before I let you go, Councillor Hogan. How are you emotionally coping with everything that's happened?
I'm okay, but today we've had a lot of media requests and people are on the ground and people are wanting to talk to people to see how they are. And that's the thing is, all people are at different levels and we've been doing our best to accommodate and work with people to see that they're safe and see that they have a place to come home to and those kind of things. So I really congratulate all of those people that have been working really hard and doing their best efforts to get people back to comfort and safety.
Completely understandable. Councillor Hogan, thank you for making the time to speak with us. I do appreciate that.
Thank you, Andrew Chang.
Okay, and still ahead, 3 conversations about gender on this, the last day of Pride Month.
My gender expression in this moment is very feminine.
We talk about being non-binary. Welcome back. Today is the last day of Pride Month, a time to reflect on issues that matter to the LGBTQ community. The government says Canada is the first country to collect and publish census data on gender identity. Of 30.5 million Canadians 15 years of age or older, around 1 in 300 identify as either transgender or non-binary. That's a term used by people who don't see themselves as either male nor female. Now, I spoke to 3 Canadians who identify as non-binary in a segment that we first brought you last summer, and they explain why they think gender isn't as simple or straightforward as some might think.
I realized how much of my life was a gender performance, a performance of like femininity.
I mean, can you just start by telling me about yourself? I mean, who is Arianne Prasad?
I was born and raised in Guyana. I lived there until I was 14. I think as a non-binary person, it doesn't always become this thing where it's like, and that was the day that I knew that I was this or that. For me, it's a series of different things that stand out. So one of those things is me getting my hair cut when I was really young. Then all of a sudden it was like kind of chopped short. And my mom insisted that I wear earrings. I understood it was more important for me to wear the earrings, so my mom didn't have to say, this is a girl, when someone was like, oh, your little boy is so cute. But it was very much like, I don't understand. I don't understand why it needs to be clear to someone else that I'm this thing when I very much don't feel, I don't feel the same.
Like, I sort of felt like the only honest way I could do an interview like this was to ask a lot of these important questions of myself. Why do I so readily accept the idea that I am male? I honestly couldn't come up with a very satisfying answer beyond the obvious, which is I was born with male parts. But I'd be at a loss to explain to you what sort of inside me, intrinsically, makes me feel male.
Yeah. I love that because I feel like there is still, I sometimes feel compelled to describe non-binary almost the same way. And I feel like that is what I want for myself and for like other non-binary people, is to feel that you don't have to necessarily question like, why am I okay with this, right? Because if you feel the way you feel up until you don't, awesome.
If you imagine like an iceberg, and every time someone uses the wrong pronoun, there's like a little chip. It's just like a little nick. You know, I struggle because there are still people who don't understand.
Hey, Faith, can you start just by introducing yourself?
My name is Faith Fundal. I use they and them pronouns, and I'm privileged to work as the afternoon radio host here in Winnipeg, the heart of the country. Who is Faith Fundal has changed so much. I mean, I was born Wilfred Faith Ramelow Fundal, and then not long ago realized that my gender identity, what I had known about myself, just didn't feel right. Figured out that non-binary was a gender identity that worked for me because it felt right, and now I'm just Faith Fundal.
When I first heard this term is this sort of a recognition that gender is a spectrum where you have male and female on either end, and that people can exist on multiple parts of that spectrum? Or is it a rejection of that spectrum altogether, right?
I'm not sure if we'll actually ever have an answer to that question, right? Because it is, I think, all of those things. I've met online folks who don't believe, don't identify within anywhere in that spectrum. So I think it's all of that. Now there are more layers to it. There's your sex, or the body parts that you have when you were born, one or the other, or both. And then there's the gender identity, how I feel. So that could include non-binary, which is something for me, that's what feels right, and that is for me. Then of course there's the gender expression. You know, I'm sitting here in this beautiful weather here in Winnipeg, and I'm wearing this, whatever this color is. You know, my gender expression in this moment is very feminine. So it changes. I had all those layers because it is such a layered thing.
My name is Ivan Coyote. I'm a writer and a storyteller. I was born and raised in Whitehorse, Yukon Territory. What else can I tell you about myself? I'm a really good cook. Nothing fancy, like I'm just really good at comfort food. You can ask my neighbor, I just brought her some stew. And I'm a non-binary trans person. Yeah, I pretty much feel like most days it's one of the least interesting things I have to talk about. So I basically spent like my childhood being pretty fundamentally convinced that I was a unicorn, and feeling pretty fundamentally sort of alone in the world as a kid. I guess maybe 9 years ago, I first heard that term non-binary. I wasn't drawn to it at first because it felt to me like it wasn't really an identity, it was like a non-identity. Like it wasn't saying I am this, it was saying I am not that. I am non-binary. So I sort of bent the corners of it to fit, I guess, you know? But now I'm okay with that word, non-binary. It's not perfect, but until we invent a better one, yeah, it'll do.
What is it that you want or expect from people? Because a lot of folks out there who genuinely want to understand what it means to be non-binary, but they also don't know how to then react to it.
I expect respect. I expect to be treated with respect, just like I guess we all hope for, you know? I constantly get questioned when I'm getting on airplanes because my gender, whatever that is, doesn't match my presentation, whatever that is. And think about all the times that you have to check M or F on a box, and then ask yourself how many of the times that information or that data is actually necessary, because most of the time it's not.
Are there people that you don't have this conversation with?
I honestly haven't talked to my like parents that raised me about it.
Do you think they would understand?
I think they would, yeah. I know that they would, even though I'm terrified because I'm like, oh, what are they gonna say? I think they will accept.
I'm non-binary, but what exactly does that mean? We'll answer some of the gender questions you've always wanted to ask in our new podcast, They and Us.
How difficult is it for you to try to come to some, coherent understanding about yourself and how you feel, but to do it in such a public way with so many people watching you do it?
I care very much about helping people understand using they pronouns, and got stuck in this vicious spiral of this is not going to end well, but somehow I wanted to keep having the conversation. It's hard.
We can't change the world overnight. For our children, we can't change transphobic minds overnight. Like, I don't think that the gender binary just hurts non-binary people or trans people. I think it hurts all of us. Let's just all just be our authentic selves. I just can't wait for a world where we can just all be exactly who we are without this threat of like constantly having to police our own genders. And I mean, that's, I think, the gift that trans and non-binary people bring to the world.
That was great.
Okay, thanks, Andrew. Peace out.
I guess, yeah, I better go back on air. Thank you. Take care.
Cheers.
Thank you for having me, and yeah, it was lovely. Thank you.
Okay, still ahead. A soldier is finally laid to rest more than 100 years after he died.
It melts my heart, you know, it really does, and makes me happy.
We traveled to Belgium with his Canadian family for the final farewell. That's next. Well, it took more than 100 years, but a First World War soldier from Newfoundland is now in his final resting place. Private John Lambert's remains were discovered only a few years ago. As Ashley Burke shows us, identifying who they belong to brought peace to him and to his descendants, who've always wondered.
The end of a century-old mystery brought this family from Newfoundland to this field in Belgium.
It's so surreal.
This is where the remains of their relative were unearthed.
I don't think anybody ever expected for them to find him.
Private John Lambert's photograph has hung on their walls for generations. All they knew, that he lied about his age to enlist at 16 and died serving in the First World War.
Thank you so much for finding him.
But his family didn't know exactly where until now.
It's a strange feeling. It's just like awesome one way and you know, a bit sad.
6 years ago, a Belgian company was surveying this farm field to lay down pipes when it came across remains. But it would still take years for Private Lambert to be identified.
It was definitely the most complex that I have worked on.
This forensic anthropologist helped crack the case. She says Lambert's remains were found mixed with those of 3 British soldiers.
That's it there, the NFLD shoulder title.
This piece of his uniform was the key. It linked Lambert to the Newfoundland Regiment. A family's DNA, military records, and his age all help confirm his identity.
He looks like a child in his photograph, and when I opened up that file, I had to take 5 minutes and just be like, whoa, that was incredibly striking to me.
Now, in a special ceremony, the Canadian military laid Lambert to rest, along with those 3 British soldiers.
It melts my heart, you know, it really does, and makes me happy.
Family sprinkling soil they brought from the graves of his parents, so he'll no longer be alone.
I think I feel peace now, you know, a real sense of peace.
After more than a century, John Lambert's story no longer a mystery. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ypres, Belgium.
Well, coming up, it was built before the First World War, and soon you can step inside.
The guests will take a glass enclosed elevator down 180 feet, down to the bottom into the wheel pit, and then out the tunnel.
This century-old tunnel with a spectacular view of Niagara Falls is our moment. For those who may be celebrating Canada Day in Niagara Falls this weekend, there's a new attraction to check out. It's an underground tunnel with a never-before-seen view. This historic power plant, both educational and scenic, is our moment.
Back in 1905, the first hydroelectric power plant opened on the Canadian side of the Niagara River. And today, we've done the adaptive reuse of this industrial heritage site. So we have an attraction of the generator hall floor, and this weekend, July 1st, moving forward, we've opened the tunnel, which sort of completes the last piece of the puzzle, if you will, to tell you how the whole power station worked.
And this is a 2,200-foot long tunnel, so the guests will take a glass enclosed elevator down 180 feet, down to the bottom into the wheel pit, and then out the tunnel and into a brand new viewing platform, which extends 65 feet out into the Niagara River, and they're going to get spectacular new views of Niagara Falls.
Yeah, that looks kind of creepy, eh? But pretty cool, and actually cold, I'm sure. Going that deep into the ground, they actually recommend you wear a jacket. And once you're on the observation platform, you're going to need it because you might get wet. That's the National for this Thursday, June 30th. Have a great night.